This station started as, I don't even remember the call letters, it was an experimental station, right? Walter Lemmon, one of the pioneers in radio in the U.S., was one of the first radio stations in the country, I believe, in Situate, Massachusetts, where the transmitter site.
Navy, I think.
Yeah, okay, and the studios were I think in Boston first, and then they moved to New York. And it eventually became WRUL, which was sort of a university station, educational, that sort of thing. And then it went through a number of ownership changes. The government took it over during the Second World War for Office of War Information broadcast to Europe and South America. And
So we were doing a lot of things that the Voice of America was doing.
well, it eventually became the VOA, and VOA then used the facility for, I don't know, 5 years or something like that.
Code message, sir. Thanks. Hopper, code message. Yes, sir.
Beyond Victory. We bring you a New Year's message from the founder and president of the Worldwide Broadcasting Foundation, which brings you these Beyond Victory programs, Mr. Walter S. Lemmon. Mr. Lemmon.
In behalf of my colleagues in the Worldwide Broadcasting Foundation, I would like to take these closing moments of our program to thank all of our listeners and our supporters for their encouragement in helping us carry forward these Beyond Victory programs. We trust that they have carried to you some spark of inspiration for the tasks ahead, some glimpse of the complex problems our statesmen are now facing, and which you can help solve through your own enlightened thinking as individual citizens. In the changing pattern of the program we have just presented, one fact stands out. The leaders of thought in America and throughout the United Nations are themselves united in a common hope for a better world, to emerge phoenix-like from the ashes of the conflagration through which we are now passing. Take heart, dwellers in the dark chasm, for high on the rim of time, the day star heralds the first rays of a new dawn. A brighter 1944 to you all.
Thank you, Mr. Lemmon. Next week, the Worldwide Broadcasting Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to public enlightenment in world affairs, begins a new group of Beyond Victory programs in which you will hear from representatives of some of the countries which still await their deliverance from Axis slavery. These programs are brought to you in collaboration with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace and the station to which you are listening. Your comments or suggestions will be welcomed if you will write to the Beyond Victory program, 630 Fifth Avenue, New York, That is the Beyond Victory program, 630 Fifth Avenue, New York, or in care of your own station. Listen in again next week at this same time to Beyond Victory.
Then the owners petitioned to get it back, and they gave it back to them. And it was owned at one point by Bonneville Broadcasting, which is the Mormon group. It became WNYW, Radio New York Worldwide. Studios moved to New York as the transmitter stayed in Situate, Massachusetts. I think they had, 4 transmitters here? Something like that? 4 transmitters in small, very small area.
Right here on WNYW, where what you want to know always comes first. Joe Roberts here at WNYW with Sergio Mendez and Barzillo 66. Big band buffs. Do we have any out there? Okay. Then no doubt, when you remember the big bands, remember Stomp It Up as a Boy, right? Does it so easy, huh? Yeah. It's a labor of love, you might say. For Tony Bennett, singing about Sweet Georgie fame. Here at WNYW, Joe Roberts on hand.
And in 15 minutes, we'll add a new frequency, 17.845 megahertz in the 16-meter band. Stay in tune with the international voice of Radio New York Worldwide, WNYW.
CBS reporting on the CBS radio network. Efforts continue in the Attica, New York prison to work out some compromised way of ending the 4 days of uprising by inmates who still hold 38 hostages.
Family Radio from California, a religious organization, bought time there, and eventually they bought the station and changed the call letters to WYFR, or Family Radio. Then they decided they wanted to expand, so in the mid-70s, I guess, they found this plot of land here, and a farmer who was sympathetic to the cause offered to rent it to them for a really good arrangement, and they leased this land for 38 years, I think, something like that. Broadcasting from here, they put in, of course, the 10 transmitters and all these antennas. Some of them, I think, were some of them the first ones put up by TCI, or was it TCI design?
The first ones were TCI antennas, and then we duplicated.
Yeah.
And some of them are actually factory. National Bureau of Standards did the rhomboids. They designed them, and we put them up. But most of the other antennas that are out here, which are log periodics, are TCI.
Now we present Open Forum with our host and Bible teacher, Harold Camping.
Evening. How are you tonight? Again, may I have the privilege and the pleasure of coming into your home to visit with you for a little while? In that measure, we have come to truth. And it is a wonderful truth that we come to if we go all the way with the scriptures. We learn about the fact that we're sinners, that we're in a terrible situation, but the Bible also indicates a wonderful way of escape out of our terrible situation.
We continue with more of the Open Forum. You are invited to call in and ask questions or discuss issues that are related to the Bible. Here is our host and Bible teacher, Harold Camping.
We're continuing with the Open Forum program. The evidence in the Bible points to the fact that September 6th of 1994 will be the last day of the final tribulation period. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. That's this day right here. This could be the day when Christ returns. Every mountain and island moved out of their places. In other words, tremendous cataclysmic cataclysmic things are happening all over the world. It is terrible, super terrible, and everyone will know it's Judgment Day. On May 21, there's going to be a terrific earthquake, way, way greater than anything that the earth has ever experienced, and that'll be the beginning of Judgment Day. We have no plan B. It is going to happen. You know, the Bible is a very factual book. It has given us example after example of when God has predicted something, prophesied something was going to happen, however impossible it might look, it always has happened. I've been called every name in the book. I've been called Satan. I've been called the man of sin. I've been called a false prophet by experts, and it doesn't bother me in the slightest because they just don't understand it all. We were convinced that on May 21, our God would return here in a very physical way, that is, by bringing a great earthquake and by ushering in the final 5 months of the Day of Judgment. And the fact is, when we look at it more spiritually, then we find He did come. He did come. Now let me back up. The fact is, you're going to find out that I'm going to be saying there's not a new date. There's not a new date. We've already been talking again and again about the end of the world being October 21 in 2011. October 21. But we have not emphasized that because the first down payment, or the beginning of it, was the fact that we would see all of these things happening and usher into a 5 months period of very, very terrible time. Spiritually, there's a big difference in the world that we can't detect at all with our eyes, but we can know from the Bible.
We now end family radio programs on 5985 kilohertz in the 49 meter band. This is WYFR, Okeechobee, Florida, in the United States of America.
Broadcasting from the United States of America, this is WRMI, Okeechobee, Florida, Radio Miami International. You can find out more about WRMI at our website, WRMI.net. That's WRMI.net. Visit our website and share your QSL reports. This is WRMI, Okeechobee, Florida.
Inside of here are where the file chips are. And I'll show you the only modification we did over here. Then I'll show you the rest of the modifications.
So this is the one that was originally an AM transmitter, and you converted it for shortwave.
60 or something like that.
Okay.
And we just had to take out their version of a parasitic choke because it didn't like it we just cut it loose. And then we made a minor change down here in the driver. All we changed was that coil right there. We have two different coils. So we're doing high band or low band that we can swap out. We don't do it that often. It's going to stay for months or years. And that's it. That coil, killing the parasitics up here.
Wow.
The driver
seems fairly simple.
Now, the original oscillator, as you can see, no longer exists. We cut it all loose. And what we have, and I'll come to the back here, get the lights on. The lights are on. Be a little careful as you walk around here so you don't fall to the ground. Back here, we added a few things that were not there before. For example, that box right there with a power supply and a timer and all that, this is part of the startup circuit, and it also powers what you see underneath here, solid state HF amplifiers. One is a 10 watt, well, it can do 25, one can do, I think, 300 or 100. We're running one at 6 watts and bring up to 30 or 40 watts. That's the driver, it's broadband. And at that low power, it doesn't have any parasitic issues. So that's the power supply we built for it, and to run that. And over here, we added a couple of extra things for another little power supply here, where we can add a visual detect to give us an extra cutoff that it would not normally have. Amazing. The power supply all stayed the same. We updated the solid state to solid state relays from the old ones. We had to do a little, wire shuffling. I used to work for the company that built these, and I had built a lot of these as shortwave for the tropic bands in South America and out in the Pacific. So this used to be full of big tank coils for AM, and it's been substituted with 2 vacuum caps and load coils. We just swap out depending on what band we're using. And that's your standard Miller you can buy anywhere, switchable. And we had to go so low, we had to add more ductings. Normally we just had this one and one other, and that was when we had to add when we dropped way down to 5950. This was up around 9 before, so we had to add those 2. All that extra cable is part of a
Up there?
Yeah. Homemade balun just made out of cable. Perfectly tuned to this frequency. This thing has a perfect match. This forward power 1000, reflected power about 2 watts is all I can measure.
Wow.
That's how close I got it. These were 2 new transmitters. The first one, they were coming out of Massachusetts, they built this. The first transmitters they put in were these 2. And then they moved the next 2 from Massachusetts. These are early 60s vintage. These are like 1975, 76 vintage right here, 3 and 4. And they were.
Boy, how do you move something like this?
And this one used to be in Massachusetts, and they moved these down here. There were 2 even older ones than this that are no longer here. And I can show you what the power supplies for this look like. Each transmitter has got a rack here of equipment. This computer, even though they run on Windows 95, don't laugh, these will tell what frequency they're supposed to be on. A very simple program when they turn on and off. So you can't turn them on at the wrong time. That is the frequency, and it can be run locally or by that computer to tell it what frequency it's supposed to be on. There's the mod monitor. And the audio processor with the narrowband filters put in to kick it off at 4800. And you can, from there, you can look at any particular transmitter. They're all interfaced through here. And then I put in a little switch that says leave in down position. I added their original audio.
Are those output jacks?
They could be used. We seldom use them now. They used to do all the audio switching by hand, using these windows right here, and you had to push buttons and everything else. That was the original system. I put in this system 3 years ago, which has got another. So we have every computer is a program source that you see up there on that wall. There's a program source on A, B, C, D.
And these are all transmitting simultaneously?
Well, they all have different things, but they can be assigned through this matrix switch to any transmitter. For example, System C is right now on transmitter 5, 6, and 8.
So they're not always assigned to one particular
No,
station.
they can be. This G can be put is not on anything right now, but it could be. It'll end up being on other things at other times of the day.
Gotcha.
That one right there just plays the Scion ID, starting at 5 minutes 40 hours. So it's returning a transmitter on. There's this music bridge and the station ID for coming on right before the top and bottom of the hour. There's a little computer in the back with a big long serial cable to tell this thing what to do, and this is what switches the audio. They're 16 by 16, so we can have 16 input sources. A lot of these computers and stuff are not even being used anymore. This one is, this one's not at the moment. We could use the system. This is System L, which is used only 1 night a week.
So speaking of backup, do you ever lose power?
For this room we have, I'll show you what we have for that.
Now you don't use them at all?
There used to be that many reel-to-reels, but they're not there anymore.
Now you use USB drives.
Everything is just or in a couple of cases. Once again, all the solid state stuff is a non-issue. The modulators never change. It's the driver, which is solid state, which was added, and the PA box gets changed. That's it. This is what runs. Ever heard 9395 on the air?
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is the 9395.
Transmitter 6.
Right. Used to be an old Gates 50 kilowatt black beast and blue fire. Remember I showed you the 2 continents on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
This is almost identical, except they did some upgrades on it. This one is currently running, so I can't open it up. But I'll show you one down that's open. Garage door right here, and they added all this on in the shop area to build these next 4 transmitters. Because once they built the last one, they were running out of shop. They had no shop room. Now these are off right now this time of the day, so I can take you behind these. First, I'll show you. This is off.
Yeah, these are on early morning and at night.
This is the modulator section. This transmitter has 3 tubes in it, or 4 tubes. There's your audio tubes, and they're water cooled. You see all the hoses. And then you see up here, audio input transformer, audio output transformer. And I'll show you how all that works. It just goes from there right to the grids. Very simple.
Is there anything interesting in store for the future of WRMI?
Oh, all kinds of things. We never know because...
Not planning to go off the air anytime soon, are you?
Oh, I hope not. No,
Oh,
I
good.
don't think so. I think shortwave will be alive and well for decades. The governments have been getting out or reducing considerably their transmissions, although we do have relays here for Radio Prague, Radio Slovakia International, Radio Ukraine International, Radio Japan, and RAI Argentina to the World, which is their their foreign service. So there are government stations that are using us as a relay to the Americans, primarily. But yeah, I mean, a lot of governments have reduced or eliminated their shortwave services since the Cold War ended. But it still exists, and a lot of those facilities, transmitters and antennas have been taken over by they've been privatized. And these private companies are selling our time, and so that makes it possible for a lot of organizations to get on the air a lot less expensive than it used to be. And religious organizations, political programs, music programs. You know, I had an inquiry yesterday, and we're going to start broadcasting a program called Encore, which is a weekly 1-hour classical music program from England. And it will be the only regular classical music program on shortwave, I think.
And where's that going to be beamed to?
It's going to be beamed to North America.
Okay.
We don't know the exact time or frequency.
Yep.
We're working on that, but it's going to start, I think, within the next few weeks.
You have to come in here, turn it off, go through this whole procedure, and then it would just, within 30 to 40 seconds, the motors put everything back to the other set. Then you come in here, turn it back on.
And is that feeding one antenna? You're switching?
No, we're switching this is changing frequency on this transmitter. That's all this does.
Okay, so the same transmitter, you're just switching?
To the same antenna, because these antennas can handle frequencies from like 5 to 20 megs in some cases.
But you can change frequencies also, which we've done in the past.
Right, we used to change this one, used to be like at 12 something or 14 megs, and we were 11 megs, and we dropped down to 5850 on this one at night, which is a better nighttime frequency, heading west. So when it started getting dark here, this thing went down. And the output of transformer 1 comes to here, 2, and 3. And then up here on the upside, there's the positive voltage. Down here is the negative ground. And there's your filter caps, 2 for each bank. That is the solid state modulator. Each modulator takes on a few hundred of the volts, and they're all in series, and they sweep the voltage and couple it together as a PDM of 75 kilocycles, and that's the 75 kilocycle filter. And so this is both plate transformer and mod transformers over there. And that's how this thing, there's no cheat. This is the transformer. The transformers that power this up.
Comes, from outside sources, and they'll send us MP3 audio files usually, or sometimes we pick up an audio stream, an internet stream they want us to rebroadcast. Some stuff comes to us via satellite also. So a variety of means. We still occasionally get programs on cassette. And we have to take our guy who works here at weekends takes these and converts them to MP3 files to go on the air. So, and CDs. We'll occasionally get a program on CD. So
how often do you record this?
It's once a week. I usually do it on Tuesdays. But I've been producing ahead of time, getting ready for this trip. I'll be going for almost 3 weeks. So it's, we get reports from people in various places, Philippines, Australia, Japan, different reporters, India. that'll send us material that goes within the programs also. And then I've got a guy in California at KVOH, the shortwave station out there, Ray Robinson, and he produces some of the segments as well. But the whole program is actually written, the script is written by a guy named Adrian Peterson from Adventist World Radio, who's a DXer for, I don't know how many years, decades, but he's a real knowledgeable source about shortwave history and all that, and so he writes the scripts, and we add some material and produce the program here. And then it goes out on the AWR network, as well as from us. It goes out on WWCR from Tennessee, KVOH in California, and Italian radio relay service in Europe. So, and also Voice of Hope Africa in Zambia.
Wow.
So, it gets out. So, anyway, okay, let's see here. I'll ask you about being at the Hamfest and all that, and I'll ask you about your YouTube channel and so on. Okay, let's see. Let's get a quick voice check on you, if you can count to 10 or something.
All right, 1, 2, 1, 2,
That's
1,
fine.
2.
That's fine. Okay. All right, on WaveScan this week, we have a special guest in the studio here. Don Malone is with us from Rochester, New York, and he's actually down in this area of Florida for a big thing that happens in Orlando every year. Don, welcome, and tell us about it.
Thanks, Jeff. It's good to be here. I appreciate the invitation. Wow.
If he doesn't come up and attack us.
It is not a small one either. Wow. Yeah, that's what I had visions of darting out at me. Oh boy, he's moving.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is this array for? The lower one?
All right, all of these things go out to the transmitters, of course. Each one goes out to one of those towers, which is an antenna switch.
Okay.
It's on there, and then it will switch from there to whichever antenna it needs to be connected to. Each transmitter will connect to either 1, 2, or 3 different antennas. So it's kind of a jigsaw puzzle trying to figure out which transmitter and which antenna a program needs to go on, depending on the target area there.
Broadcasting from the United States of America, this is WRMI, Okeechobee, Florida, Radio Miami International. You can find out more about WRMI at our website, WRMI.net. That's WRMI.net. Visit our website and share your QSL reports. This is WRMI, Okeechobee, Florida.